Hey guys, Ryan King here, and I'm the keyboard instructor for WorshipArtistry.com. In today's YouTube lesson, we're going to take a look at the song Dance by Planetshakers. Now this is a really cool tune, and it's driven a whole lot by the synth. Probably the coolest section of this tune is a big dubstep breakdown. Now we're not going to cover the dubstep breakdown, but I will cover that in a later blog that I'll post. So you need to make sure that you click the link and sign up for a free account where you can get access to our green room where all of our blogs are, as well as be notified as to when keyboard lessons go live, which will be very soon. Now in today's lesson we're going to cover the tone section. Now we're only going to cover the tone section, so if you want to see the entire lesson a little bit later, then you need to click the link and sign up for a free account. But in case you just want to watch a YouTube video, well, this is for you. The tone for this song is very important. This song is really driven by the synth, and there are a lot of different keyboard parts, so we need to make sure that we get the sounds just right. Now if you don't have a lot of these sounds, that's okay. If you can use basically a nice big fizzy airy pad along with a good lead sound, then you can pretty much pull this tune off. But in case you do happen to have a lot of different sounds at your disposal, it'll really make the song. And so to start off with, during the intro of this song, I'm using a big saw pad. It's made of a saw wave. It's not a very dark sound. It's got a nice fizzy sound. It sounds very European, kind of British sounding, I guess you could say. It sounds like this. On this particular sound, there's a filter that opens up after you've struck the note, and that allows it to get a little bit more fizzy, a little bit more harsh. You can hear it after you strike it. You can hear how that builds over time a little bit. And what I've done is I've limited this sound to just the lower portion of the keyboard. Basically it goes from E to E. And that way I can layer it with another sound playing the melody in my right hand. On that particular sound, I'm using a sound that's called anavibe lead. And basically this is a square wave. It's got a short attack. There's some delay put on it, and it sounds like this. Now if you listen to the record, you'll hear that that particular sound, along with that pad, kind of evolves over time. And the reason that that does that is basically because this is a two-keyboard performance. And since we're combining it into one keyboard, there's some things that we either have to take out or leave alone. And one of that is changing the sound over time. If all I was playing was that lead line and not having to worry about the pad in my left hand, I could use one of these faders to adjust that sound, and it would kind of sound a little bit like this. So you can hear how that changes over time. But since we're having to combine it into one performance, then I'm not really so much worried about changing it over time. We really need that pad to help fill in the gap there. So I kind of get it back to a good sound. Something like that sounds pretty good. And then I add both of them together and it sounds like this. And that sound, that lead, is still a little bright. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so you can see how that's combined together. And that lead sound is also just in the upper register of the keyboard. I don't have it down here on the lower end, so you can't hear anything when I strike it. It's just the top end. And I've limited that sound to just the notes that I'm playing, or rather just the range of notes that I'm playing. Same thing with that pad in the lower portion of the keyboard. Now for the verse, I'm using a Moog sound, and a Moog is just a great classic analog synth, and it's very plucky sounding. And so that's what I use during the verse, and it sounds like this. You can hear there's some delay on that gives it a nice trail, and that's what you play during the verse. Again, it's just a nice Moog sound. If you don't happen to have that, you could use like a Fender Rhodes sound or a clavinet, something to that effect, and put some delay on it, and that could kind of achieve the same thing. But if you do happen to have some good synth sounds at your disposal, then trying to find a good Moog sound that's nice and plucky. It's got a short attack, a short release, and then it's got some good delay on it. And that's for the verse. When we get to the chorus, I'm using that same saw pad in my left hand, and I'm using a super saw synth. That's kind of a tongue twister. That is similar to that pad, but it's got a short attack, it's very bright, and that particular one sounds like this. You can hear it's nice and bright, it's nice and short. When you combine that with the pad, it sounds like this. And that's the particular sound for the chorus. Now finally, we get to that dubstep section, and we're not going to cover that in this particular lesson, so we're going to play a synth during that, and really it's just a synth bass. And funny enough, the sound that I'm using is called Bustin' the Booty Bomb. And when you hear it, you can definitely tell why they named it that. And it sounds like this. It's a nice big synth bass sound. It's got a lot of dirt and grit to it. And that really is just to help during those power chord moments during that instrumental section. So if you've got a good synth bass sample, that'll really help. Now one of the things that I would do is I would try to dial out some of the low end, because your bass player is playing as well. So you don't want to step on his feet too much. But this really gives it that nice synth portion. So again, for the intro, I'm just using that saw pad along with a nice lead. For the verse, I'm using that very plucky Moog. For the chorus, I'm using the saw pad with the super saw synth. And then finally, I'm using the big synth bass for the instrumental. And that's the tone for this song. So go ahead and dial those different sounds in, and let's move on to the next part of the lesson. Be sure to click the link and head over to worshipartistry.com, where you can sign up for a free account today. Every lesson comes with a music video where you can change different video angles, as well as step-by-step instruction for different sections of the song. We also have loop videos that you can practice along to, as well as sheet music, chord charts, guitar tabs, and a whole lot more. So what are you waiting for? Click the link and sign up for a free account today.